Welcome in, episode 138, What's Right with Nick Wright. Damonza is back. He has a few shows left with us, but maybe we're not sure when they're going to be until he moves to LA and then is off for a bit and then is back late summer, at least back on the show. But a proud parent moment for me, if I may. 3 kids, and Damonza just got back from Los Angeles, where he found an apartment, signed a lease, got ready for his whole new life in L.A.
Yep.
5 minutes, living 5 minutes from work, which in L.A. is such a win.
Yeah.
So I was following someone on Twitter yesterday that showed that the drive from Santa Monica to Hollywood at some time yesterday, the drive was 30 minutes longer than the bike ride, because the traffic was so bad.
I believe
and
it.
You're in a spot, so Damonza doing big things, just shy of his 25th birthday. His youngest sister, Deanna, fresh off being cast as Annie in Annie at her school for her school theater for their big theater event. She just got cast she just got cast as Charlotte in Charlotte's Web in their next production, and Damonza's middle sister is living her best, I mean, let's just be honest, wannabe rich New York City kid life, having gone from Cabo to Aruba and is currently on the bus to her friend's house in the Hamptons, where she is spending the weekend before she goes off to college. So all the kids doing great. Damonza's younger sister, not the youngest, but the one you guys have not seen yet, is the one who over the next few weeks is going to be sitting in Damonza's seat because her bougie school has decided that for seniors at this part of the school year don't need to go to school anymore.
Bridge.
Tuition stays the same, believe it or not, but they do something called Bridge where they do like professional things. So Diora is going to be hosting the show alongside me for a few weeks, but let's get right to the show. It's great to have you back.
Good to be back.
Here's what is not on today's show. Baseball opening day. Missed the cut. Gotta tell you. My apologies. Kind of snuck up on me here, but it missed the cut. A $6 billion bid for the Washington Commanders. 2 $6 billion bids, which, as my buddy Kevin Wild said, means $6 billion's not enough. If 2 people will pay it, then somebody's got to pay more. Speaking of my buddy Kevin Wilds, so and also Light the Beam, Sacramento ending the playoff drought, that is going to find its way into the show at some point. There's Damonza, top of a Sacramento sign with a beam coming out of his chest if you're watching us on YouTube. I would like to say something about Kevin Wilds. So, Kevin Wilds went on the Bill Simmons podcast, which is the biggest sports podcast in the world. He's gone on it for years, and he does a thing called Half-Baked Ideas, and they're very funny typically. So, one of his half-baked ideas was if you're going out to a bar or a football game or anywhere people might want to fight and you don't want to fight, a product called detachable cauliflower ear that you put on, you know what cauliflower ear is?
I do.
That the UFC fighters have?
Make it seem like you're a fighter?
Exactly right. That you walk in, and before you walk in, you put it on there. Like, it was a really funny, I thought, good idea. Another one of his half-baked ideas was a barber dentist, which was every time you go to when you get your hair cut at the barber shop, you also get a teeth cleaning. That way the dentist doesn't yell at you for not having clean teeth and you don't have to talk to anybody. Thought that was a good idea. But those are his types of half-baked ideas. Snuck into the middle of Kevin Wilde's half-baked idea was this take. And I quote, "What about this, Bill? Challenge bait in the NFL." Well, what's that, Kevin? And this was the example he used. Do you remember the NFC Championship game? Devontae Smith caught the ball but didn't actually catch the ball and then did that signal, which was to his team saying, "I didn't catch it, let's hurry up." Teams coaching their guys when they know they caught it to have a separate signal start freaking out, rush to the line to get the other team to challenge.
I feel like you said something about that a while ago.
Oh, you feel like I did?
Oh,
it's because I did. It's because the day after that game, I gave that exact idea, calling it challenge bait and saying that teams would do it eventually.
Yeah, it was funny.
Kevin Wildes, 2 months later, does it on a podcast with 10 XR subscribers, and now he gets credit for it.
I didn't know that was where you were going with that.
I feel like I said something like that. Yeah, because I said something like that about that exact moment. I have to look this guy in the eye and do television.
Wildes.
Out here stealing my stuff. And not even, and doing it just so shamelessly. Because, again, all his other, you know what another one of his half-baked ideas was? A Roomba. You know what a Roomba is? One of those robotic vacuums?
Oh, yeah.
A Roomba that has on top of it like a doll that looks like one of those girls from The Shining that goes around your house at night. So in case anyone ever breaks in, they freak out and think you have ghosts. They're all very funny. They're all very good ideas. They all also have nothing to do with sports, and except for the one that he took from me. All right, let's get to the show, Damonza. Sorry, Wildes, but that
unacceptable.
You and me, we're done professionally. We're done. Go ahead.
All right, so the Lamar fiasco continues.
Yeah,
and it's getting pretty strange, man.
You think?
Him not having an agent is no excuse for teams not wanting him, if we're being truthful.
Okay.
Now he's on Twitter constantly causing a ruckus. Logical teams like Atlanta and Washington are openly passing on him.
Mm-hmm.
Could he end up forcing himself out of the league entirely?
Okay, that seems extreme.
Very extreme.
It is not off the board because he could sit out this year. He could sit out this year. So there's so much here. First, let me say this. Lamar needs better people around him.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. One is he sent out these tweets that, and I don't want to be rude, but they're not well-crafted messages. If you are trying to interview, essentially, for jobs across the league. Now, I understand some might say his interview process is turn on the film. I get that. But quarterback is the most public-facing position for a franchise. And it, especially if you have any holes in your game or any concerns, folks are going to nitpick everything. And there is a very unfair, but it is reality, of a double standard of how we evaluate still to this day black quarterbacks and whether people question their processing and all this stuff, which ultimately is just questioning their intelligence. And Lamar's poorly phrased tweets do not help him there. Right. Let me tell you another thing doesn't help him. He said, check out my fan page. This is Lamar Jackson's website. I'm just going to show it to you, Damonza. It does not look like a website
of a multi-million dollar man.
Exactly right. If you were his About Me page on the website has accolades like 2-time Pro Bowler, league MVP, just bullet points. College is the only play. Like this
makes me feel so bad for Lamar.
Doesn't it? That's what when I say listen, I couldn't design a website. By the way, if I designed a website,
some type of team.
You got to have a team around you.
Yeah. And
the team around him that he evidently has is this dude, his business partner Ken, who was reported was calling teams on his behalf, even though he's not an agent. Lamar said he's not calling teams. By the way, he and I are releasing the entire gym, which is just like a portable gym setup, and that's his business partner. Lamar also promised an interview with Big Truz Productions. That an interview hasn't come. He's not handling this properly. Again, this is not me coming, and then I'll talk about the NFL side of it, because I think so many people are botching this in so many directions, right? The Ravens, other teams, and Lamar. I am not coming down on him in a judgmental way. It is more advice. Like, People that think they can be experts at multiple things are usually fooling themselves. So I will use myself as an example. I don't really understand how finances, investments, taxes, any of that stuff works. I've never studied it. I've never taken the time. I have a very base level understanding of it. I pay somebody. Matt says they can tell from all my Jags bets. Fair enough. That came out fine in the end, boys. Maybe you guys don't remember 27-0. I remember 27-0 quite well. That I pay somebody to handle all of that for me because I don't know how to do it. Now, that is risky in its own regard. You have to, a lot of athletes, when that happens, those people then steal money from them. You got to monitor it, and you got to have some level of understanding to make sure you're not being, swindled.
Squeezed. Yeah.
But there are certain, your mom has built this entire store, designed every piece of it, has done, we do the show for my wife's boutique in Harlem called Trintage. It's beautiful. She is not great at promotion, social media stuff.
Right.
She hired somebody to run that for the store. Mm-hmm. Someone who that's what they're an expert in. Now, life is much, much harder, obviously, if you don't have the financial resources to farm out these things. But if you do, and you are trying to maximize your value and all of this, it's almost your responsibility to farm it out. And it'd be one thing if it's like, nope, I can do all of it and I'm handling this perfectly. He's not. And I do wish he had better people around him.
Yeah.
Sorry to, football topic, already invoke LeBron, but one of the smartest things LeBron ever did was get the people around him that he trusts the most in the world, identify what their specific talents were, use his resources to get them trained in those fields, and then have those people run his empire. Maverick was always a super sharp guy. Maverick and him were tight. Maverick was a senior, LeBron was freshman. They won a state championship title together. Maverick went on to play some college basketball. Maverick went to go work for Nike, learn, I think it was Nike, learn about meet with very rich, very powerful people, learn what he needed to learn, and Maverick is a brilliant guy, and now Maverick has helped build LeBron's empire. LeBron met Rich Paul in a parking lot when Rich was hustling throwback jerseys. He understood that Rich had a lot of the best traits you need to be an agent. Rich went and worked for LeBron's agent at CAA, learned the business part of that business, took his natural skills, and then LeBron empowered him to go help start his own agency, which is now one of the best in the world. That is one of the reasons he's never had any real public missteps is he has these people around him that can help protect him so he can focus on, as he says, keep the main thing the main thing. I know it sounds like almost silly, but any of the top level athletes can either follow the traditional path of hiring people that are already established or LeBron's path of making your own people the established people. Trying to go it alone, especially when you are also trying to thread the needle of, in your prime franchise quarterback, changing teams or getting a fully guaranteed deal, it's too much. It's too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think it's I get that he hasn't hired people, but I still think it's crazy that, okay, we're not going to hire Lamar Jackson because his PR team or his negotiating skills aren't great. You know that Lamar Jackson's good at football.
Okay.
So it's just like.
So that is where I feel like everyone else has botched this. So let's do the Ravens and the rest of the league. The Ravens, as I've mentioned before, they've been negotiating with Lamar Jackson for 25 months. Deshaun Watson got his deal 13 months ago. So they had a full year when the same draft class, Josh Allen got a new deal. When 3 years in is when you give a guy a new deal, a full year before fully guaranteed was ever on the board, when you could have signed Lamar Jackson. They didn't. They now have soured the relationship to a point to where they might lose a 26-year-old in his prime, unquestioned top 10 quarterback. We can argue about, would you rather have Lamar or Trevor? You want to argue...
How quick Aaron Rodgers got picked up. After having... Lamar Jackson had a better season than Aaron Rodgers when he was in the game. He obviously got hurt.
There's no question
about it.
But it's like...
He got picked up immediately, and he was calling the shots.
So there's no... Now, and he's 10 years... 13 years older.
Right.
Bad season. Now, he's not as expensive as Lamar's going to be. So here's the other part of it. I do, and my buddy Danny Parkins, who does radio in Chicago and also a great podcast called First and Pod, makes this point, and this point is correct. The single most expensive way to acquire talent in the NFL is trade for a player who's not on your team and give him the new contract. You're paying the top of the market contract and you're giving up draft picks, right? It's the most expensive way to get talent. The way the Dolphins got Tyreek Hill is the most expensive way to get a top flight receiver. I'm going to pay you more than any receiver, and I'm going to give up draft picks for the opportunity to pay you more than any receiver. The way the Broncos got Russell Wilson, the way the Browns got Deshaun Watson, right? So it is not quite, and so with Rodgers, the contract is very expensive, but it is already in place. And it's not going to be 2 first-round picks at a minimum, which Lamar would be. So I understand why it wouldn't be 20 teams going after him.
And teams are saying that his style of play, is risky and he'll get hurt. Mm-hmm. But like him and Aaron Rodgers obviously much older. How much longer does he have in the league? Lamar Jackson, young, just got MVP a couple years ago.
100%. But I also do think that if he had 2 years left on his deal and he was going to go for probably a second-round pick and ish, that's a different, you know what I mean? That is a different situation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that Carson Wentz went for a first-round pick 2 years ago. That doesn't change the fact that I understand why teams don't want to do what the Browns did because everyone thinks the Browns made a bad deal. You know what I mean? But the idea that there would be no market for him,
right,
to me, is an example of the NFL, and this is where Lamar has to be careful. The NFL's ownership simply saying, we collectively are not crossing the Rubicon of all of these quarterbacks getting guaranteed deals.
And they'll bite the bullet.
And
they'll just be asked out.
Exactly right. And that is where I think good management would tell Lamar, hey, man, they are conspiring against you.
Mm-hmm.
The deal you want is not coming. Doesn't mean I can't get you a great deal. It doesn't mean that we can find a way to get you a deal that is mostly guaranteed, a ton of protections. But the things we're hearing, like Arthur Blank, who they were all in on Deshaun Watson, saying, well, it's a different situation. The injury risk in every game is precious. You were all in on a player that, first of all, injury risk. Deshaun has torn both ACLs. Second of all, you knew he was going to be suspended. You knew if you traded for Deshaun, he was missing time. You know what I mean? Lamar might get hurt, might not get hurt. But it's not like he's already hurt and he's going to miss the first half of the season.
Somebody put out a tweet the other day. It's like Lamar's play style, how he's so mobile and runs around a lot. He hasn't gotten hurt like playing the way that he plays,
He's
like
gotten hurt on traditional passing plays.
Exactly, like in the pocket. He never gets hurt when he's running away, which I feel like speaks to his game.
Correct. I do understand concerns of, okay, I think he's in some quarters an underrated passer, but I think his deep ball is excellent. Stephen Ruiz wrote about this. His ability to change arm angles a la Mahomes is very good. Where Lamar is not great passing compared to the other great quarterbacks is on what I would call easy throws.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not as consistent on the layups as you would like a great quarterback to be. Get that. I understand that. But if we are being as negative as possible about Lamar, let's list the quarterbacks that the most quarterbacks you could say are better than him. And we will tie goes to the other quarterback, okay? Patrick.
Josh.
Joe. Justin.
Yeah.
Trevor. Again, if ties go to the other quarterback, and I think Trevor has, because he's the traditional backup, he has things working for him, he's younger, all that stuff. All right, so now we're at 5. Aaron. Jalen
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Now we're at 7. Is that the end of the list? I think it is. You want to say Stafford because he's won a Super Bowl? No, he's a massive injury risk. I don't think you can say Stafford. I don't think you can say Dak.
No, definitely not Russell.
Can't say Russell. That's the list.
Yeah.
If we are being you know what? Tua. I think that now that's you can't say Tua because he's the biggest injury risk right now in the league because of concussion stuff. Because you could have one more concussion and be done with football.
Daniel Jones might be a tie as well.
So okay. But so again, at worst, he's the 8th or 9th best quarterback in football.
Yeah.
There should be a market. And I think there are teams like Miami making a mistake not considering this, closing the door on it. The Miami just picked, now maybe they haven't. They just picked up to his 5th-year option. They could maybe include him in a trade. Detroit, we've talked about. Indy, obviously. San Francisco, money, they'd be in hell.
Right.
But they'd win the Super Bowl. So that, I mean, at least to me.
They got some problems.
Yeah. And so here is what I think's going to happen. I think that what we're going to end up seeing is the market heat up after the draft. So right now, if you try to sign Lamar Jackson and the Ravens see what you sign him to and say, okay, you can have him, you lose this year's draft pick and next year's draft pick. If you do it after the draft, you lose next year's draft pick and the year after. Doesn't it follow logic that every single team that would want Lamar Jackson would believe we're going to get much better, so our first-round pick next year will be considerably worse than our first-round pick this year? Right. So take the Colts, for instance. If they were to sign Lamar Jackson right now, they give up the 4th overall pick and next year's pick. If they're thinking we're going to sign Lamar Jackson because we're going to win the division and be in the playoffs, that'll be the 20th pick and the following year's pick. The New England Patriots are a team that I think should be in it. The Patriots, where are they drafting?
Go ahead.
The Patriots they were 8 and 9, so they're drafting like 11th or 14th or something. I'll look it up real quick.
I'm surprised Lamar had interest in going there, to be honest.
I think that
see him wanting to go to New England.
Man, I think players that have played against Belichick, they are the Patriots drafting 14, have massive respect for him.
Yeah.
And I think Lamar looks at it like, man, that defense, that running game. Now, if I were Lamar, I would ideally want to just go to the NFC where I could be maybe the best quarterback. And that's why Detroit. So Detroit, if I'm Detroit, I'm like, okay, I have the 6th and 18th picks this year. I can use those on premier defensive players. I can then trade Jared Goff for probably a 2nd-round pick.
Some stuff.
And use my following 2, 2024 and 2025 first-rounders to sign Lamar. And in an NFC North, who the starting quarterbacks are Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, who we'll see on, and Jordan Love, who we'll see on, can go do real damage. I think something happened here. I also wish Lamar would call up David Mulugheta, who was Deshaun Watson's agent, and say, hey, man, what'd you do? This guy was facing 23 credible lawsuits. He had not played in a full year. He had torn his ACL once already. He had won one solitary playoff game just like me. You got a bidding war that ended up with a team giving up 3 first-rounders and a fully guaranteed deal. Now, maybe you can't get that for me. What can you get for me?
Yeah.
And, by the way, I don't want to pay 3%. I want to pay 1.5%. You think David's going to say no to that? Going to say, no, I got to stay true to the 3%? I don't think that. Now, I don't know David. I don't want to speak for him. But that's, to me, the best advice I could give him. That was 20 minutes. Okay, let's keep going. Go ahead.
All right.
Hold on, real quick. Sorry. Lamar, week 1 next year, is playing quarterback for the Ravens, is sitting out, or is on another team?
He's on another team.
Okay, so you do think this gets done?
Yeah, and I'm rocking with whatever team he's on.
That's going to be what you do?
Yeah, the Lamar disrespect is crazy. I feel like he needs that one extra guy supporting him. I'm with Lamar Jackson.
How much of this is because you like using him in Madden?
I actually kind of dislike using him in Madden sometimes.
Because of the errant passing at times?
Yeah, dude.
It gets frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, you're this big Lamar Jackson guy. All these NFL GMs listening to the show, they're like, exactly. No, Matt, you guys are saying I'm an asshole for not giving him $200 million. You won't use him in a Madden game. You want me to put my franchise with him. All right, next.
Oh, gosh. All right, KD made his second Suns debut last night.
Mm-hmm.
And since coming back, LeBron has led the Lakers to a split versus Patrick Beverley.
Stop it.
Both now have the opportunity to catch heat in the final 2 weeks of the season. Which team needed their star back more?
Oh, oddly, the Suns, because they need to get on the court together.
Right.
So there's a lot here. Before we get to any of it, did you see LeBron's post-game interview yesterday?
Yeah, where he's like basically naked.
Yes. So, okay. So, I mean, here, I should have told the producers, but there it is. What do you make of that? Do you think that there was...
I'm trying to show his youth.
See, I think you nailed it. I don't think that was an accident. LeBron is doing this interview in an undersized towel.
Right.
Thigh hanging out.
I still got it, man.
And I really think that's what it is. I'm the oldest guy in the league that still plays. And I just want to remind everybody, because he does weird things sometimes. Because when the playoffs started in the bubble, he intentionally didn't, again, this is speculation, but I know I'm right. He let all the gray in his beard come in as much as, I've ever seen it, didn't cut it. And I think it was a psychological thing.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, all you guys are tired, the bubble's been tough, blah, blah, blah. I am reminding you I'm an old man, and I'm going to crush you.
Yeah.
And now I think he's going the other way. It's like I missed a month. I'm 38. I'm in year 20. And I'm going to do this interview basically in the nude.
Yeah.
And make it newsworthy.
Right.
To where it goes places to remind everybody. Because that was not an accident. Jordan famously would never do interviews until he was...
clothed?
Well, but
dressed
the suit,
right.
Earrings in, everything. And a lot of guys do that. LeBron, I've seen him do these things shirtless. Right. I've never seen him like that.
Yeah.
That was noteworthy to me.
I don't think I've seen any player like that in the post game. I haven't seen too many post game interviews, but it
hit your radar, right?
Yeah,
what is going on here? All right. So on Durant gave an interview with the Shams, said he doesn't care about his legacy anymore. Everyone's just going to discredit him no matter what. All this stuff. I don't know that I fully believe him, but set that aside. Here's what I do know. I will vociferously defend Kevin Durant if they win this title and anyone tries to discredit it. This Suns team was drawing dead to win the championship. 0%. They had their window had closed. Chris Paul has moved to a different stage of his career. Booker's a really good player, but not good enough to carry a team to a championship as the unquestioned alpha without a great co-star. I know they made the final the finals 2 years ago, and Booker was the best player, but he wasn't. Chris Paul was the glue of that team, and Booker was a way overqualified number 2. And they lost anyway. Lost 4 straight. So I think that this is not like the Warriors at all. It's not even like the Nets when they trade for Harden and they look like, okay, they've stacked the deck. It's like if the Nets had won the title last year, I don't think anyone would have discredited it. And this Suns team, we have proof of concept with them, 70 games of them without Durant. They were not a championship caliber team. If he parachutes in and they win the title, he gets, to me, if he parachutes in and they make the finals, massive, massive credit. So I don't think that's going to happen. Now on the LeBron thing.
He's a ring hitman.
Well, what do you mean?
If you were to win the title with him?
Well,
I guess.
I mean, we've never seen a team acquire their best player mid-season and win the title. We've seen the defending champion Rockets acquired Clyde Drexler.
So we're still saying Curry was the better one.
No, they didn't acquire him mid-season.
Oh, okay, I see.
No, we've seen guys, KG and Ray Allen came to the Celtics. They immediately won a title.
Right.
We've seen that. We saw Anthony Davis join the Lakers. They won a title. He was the second best guy. But in the offseason, we've seen it. I'm talking about a mid-season trade. Right. We saw the 95 Rockets add Clyde. They were the defending champs. They were the 6th seed. They ended up winning the title. We saw the Pistons make a massive trade in 89 and win the title. But again, Isaiah was their best player. We've never seen Wilt was traded midseason. They didn't win. We've never seen a team get their best guy and go win the title. And they'd be doing it having played 10 games together.
Right.
So that is noteworthy on his end. The LeBron thing is fascinating because I do think the Lakers are a super dangerous team right now. Super dangerous. LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo Russell have only played 3 games together. They haven't lost. AD, you can't rely on him every night, but when he's good, he's an unquestioned. The best AD is one of the top 8 guys in the league. The problem for him is he's not consistently. So his bad nights are really bad for a superstar. And LeBron, come the postseason, man, just manipulates every possession. Now, they have a huge game Friday against the Timberwolves. And right now, the Lakers are the 8th seed. They're 38-38. The Timberwolves are 39-38. You win that game against the Timberwolves, you move up to the 7 line. The Golden State has 37 losses. You have the tiebreaker with them. The Clippers have 36 losses. You do not have the tiebreaker with them, but you do get to play them again. Could the Lakers move up out of the play-in? Possibly. Do I think it's actually incumbent upon them to do that? I do in this regard. The team I would least want to play in round 1, there's no way for them to play Phoenix in round 1 because Phoenix is right now. Phoenix can't move up. They're the 4.
Oh,
they could drop to the 5, but Phoenix can't move up to the 3, and the Lakers are not going to be able to move up to the 5.
Right.
So you know what I mean. The Lakers are going to be 6, 7, 8 at best, and so they're not going to be able to play Phoenix. The team I would least want to play is Memphis because the Lakers have no one to guard Ja. Absolutely no one to guard Ja. The team, oddly enough, I'd like to play is Denver. But because Jokic, I think, could have real trouble with Anthony Davis, and LeBron will put him in million pick and rolls. But the only way to play Denver is if you're in the play-in and lose your first play-in game. And then win your second one. That's how you get the 8 seed.
Yeah.
Or, I guess, the other way to play Denver would be to be in the play-in as the 9 or the 10 and then win both your play-in games. I don't think that's likely. I think right now, if I were ranking Western Conference contenders, I would go Memphis 1, Lakers 2, Suns 3. I worry about Chris Paul's health, and I worry about their continuity. That's how I would have it ranked, and I think the Lakers could be really well positioned. It's worth noting, despite LeBron missing a month and missing 2 weeks earlier in the year, and despite Anthony Davis missing a month, since the 2-10 start, they are 36-28. They have had one of the 3 best defenses in the league since the trade deadline, and arrested LeBron with that month off, if he doesn't re-injure that foot, is a dangerous team. Next.
All right. So while you're gone, Jokic beat Giannis in the Bucks. By the way, have you seen Giannis's tweet about the trend that he started?
Oh, about the cross-leg thing? Yeah, I did.
I thought that was pretty funny.
By the way, that is something. Team chemistry matters. Guys liking each other matters. And the Bucks lead the league in that.
Yeah.
In good vibes. And on a playoff run, that absolutely matters. But go ahead.
Yeah. So he also beat Philly.
He being Jokic. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jokic beat Philly.
Yep.
But Embiid sat out and didn't even join the team on the bench. Seems like Embiid couldn't rise to the challenge.
That's not true, but go ahead.
Denver has big games against the Suns and Warriors over the final stretch. Even you now have to admit that Jokic is in the driver's seat for this MVP thing.
Okay, I don't think he's in the driver's seat. Tim Bontemps just released his updated straw poll. It is basically dead even. It was a weird thing. Jokic got the most first-place votes in Bontemps' straw poll, but Embiid was the winner because you get points for first, second, third, and so Jokic had more thirds. Embiid was basically first or second on enough ballots that Jokic had a few thirds. It really, I don't think Giannis should be discounted. I mean, last night I know Drew Holiday had 51. Giannis also had a 37-point triple-double. I don't think Giannis should be discounted in this. I actually give Embiid credit for putting team success above the MVP.
By sitting out?
Yeah, because the medical staff clearly thought he needed the game off because he'd been dealing with something. He knew, because he already cooked up Jokic in their first meeting. If he did it a second time, he could have basically, I think, eliminated Jokic from the conversation. He didn't. His team loses, but Embiid was very good last night, and they beat the Mavs.
I feel like you got to go out there and kill him.
Well, listen, I understand that.
Any other game, sit out. I didn't sit out the next game.
No, of course, I get it. I think but I understand that is Embiid showing the world, like, I am really focused on winning. And here's the thing. Embiid's never made round 3. Not the finals. He's never made a conference finals. He's got to break through. The best players in league history to never make a conference finals. It's like Dominique Wilkins and Bernard King. They who were Hall of Famers.
Right.
But Bernard's career was derailed due to injury. Dominique was in the East in the 80s, had to deal with Bird and Michael and the Pistons. Like, it was a brutal spot. They weren't guys finishing in the top 2 MVP 3 straight years. And so right now, I think the ballot should be Embiid by a hair over Giannis, then a bit of a gap, and then Jokic. But we'll see how it is going to come down to the final week. It's going to come down to the final week. All right, next.
Let's see. All right, last week Luka Doncic said he no longer feels the same joy while playing my tiny violin. The Mavericks have lost 8 out of their last 11 games and now sit at the 11th seed in the West. Is there any light at the end of this tunnel for your Slovenian son?
It's not great, man.
I said the little mini violin thing. I feel bad. Like, I'm sorry.
No,
that
listen,
sucks.
man, it's not good. I can't put it all on Kyrie. Listen.
Wait, that's really funny, the timing of that.
Well, yeah. He obviously hasn't helped.
That is such funny timing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't put it all on Kyrie. I can put some on Kyrie. Also, Kyrie, it seemed like yesterday tried to have another fan kicked out of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts on this?
I don't.
So let me give you mine and go, and then
I think that there has to be something very extreme said, like the
okay.
LeBron situation about his son when he had the lady kicked out. But so
here's the
level
thing.
A
I
heckling.
don't know what these fans are saying to Kyrie. I know a few games ago he had someone kicked out. I know Russ had someone kicked out yesterday, and I know Kyrie got into it with a fan yesterday, and then the ref
say
stepped
it to
in,
my face.
and they didn't.
That might have been a different.
They didn't
scenario.
kick him out. Here's the thing. Obviously, there are lines you cannot cross. And without knowing what anybody said, I don't want to like blindly defend any of these fans. I also am, if I am being honest, if I saw Steph Curry, John Morant, or Joel Embiid demand a fan be ejected,
You think it was?
I would
great.
assume the fan deserved to be ejected.
Right.
When it's Russ or Kyrie, I'm not certain if it was ejectable. I'm just
Not
not.
too much credibility there. Huh?
Like if somebody calls Westbrook, they don't get ejected from the game.
Right.
Now you can say that's a toxic part of sports, and I fine, but this part of, I think maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe this is me. I'm going to look back on this and say, oh, that was a dumb take of mine years from now. We're more evolved and better. I don't know. Part of being a pro athlete and part of what defines the greats is being able to deal with the hostile road environment. Now, we know there are lines, and you should never invoke someone's family. You should never invoke someone's creed, race, any of those things. And I would argue that it should be close to a zero tolerance policy on obscene profanity, not because the athletes are offended, but because we still want to be able to bring kids to the games.
Bigotry, all
and
that.
and it's just a zero tolerance policy for any hate speech.
Right.
And profanity, it's embarrassing in my opinion for the person
fan,
doing
right.
it, and there should be but consistent taunting is allowed.
Yeah.
So I gotta know, like, if someone says, like, to Kyrie, every team hates you. Kyrie, you're not getting your money. Kyrie, those things, I don't think you should be kicked out for that. Do you agree?
Yeah. 100%.
I just...
Look at the people that it is coming. I see where you're going with the Westbrook and the Kyrie thing. Look, these people, Westbrook. Westbrook, I understand a little bit more because, like, I feel like he doesn't really bring it to himself because people make fun of him because of his play. With Kyrie, it's like outside stuff that he's kind of like brought on himself. So it's like,
but either way,
I had enough of it.
Again, I think you are allowed to make fun of guys for their play. I don't do it. I think it's kind of embarrassing for an adult to do.
Right.
But I don't think that is ejectable behavior. Right. So again, I don't
bought the tickets because you're that into the game. Like,
right.
You want to. Yeah.
Correct. And I don't know what was said. So this is more of a generic conversation than a specific conversation. Like, I think if you say to whomever, you effing suck, that should be a warning. Stop with the profanity or you're out of here.
Right.
I think if you yell, Westbrook, you're the worst shooter in the league, you shouldn't even get talked to.
Right.
I think that's totally in bounds. I think if you say something about, someone's wife or kid, you're out. You know what I mean? You say something racial, you're out. You make fun of Kyrie's religion, you're out. All those things to me, I don't think anyone disagrees with it. And again, maybe that's what was happening here.
Right.
But I have my doubts. I have my doubts when I would not have doubts if Steph Curry pointed and said that person's got to go.
Right.
I would just know, okay, you know what I mean? Like does
it not seem like the whole league loves Steph Curry though?
I mean, he's one of the most popular players in the league for sure.
Yeah, who's out there really?
But hell, even if it was James Harden, who everyone does not like, he's a polarizing player.
Right. It seems like James Harden doesn't give a damn, though.
I agree. Which is why I'm saying if he said someone's got to be kicked out,
right?
Then, and again, maybe it's going to come out these guys said something horrible and it makes total sense. It just has hit my radar. There seems to be a lot more. Have fans gotten way worse? or have certain players gotten more sensitive? I think that's a fair question.
Ever since that mood swing post-game conference Kyrie had, that's right up his alley to kick a fan out.
It seems like it. And it's like he's like, they call me out my name, and I'm going to look them in their eye and see if they're really about it. And it's like, definitely not about it. They definitely are taking advantage of the fact that you are performing, and they think it is part of the fan experience to be a drunk idiot. Now, again, if we want to say
tomatoes are allowed at comedy shows.
Oh, are they?
I mean, I feel like they are.
No, I
not actually do that.
Is
that an old thing?
That's an old thing, buddy. There's not.
Nowadays it's not tomatoes. It's like shoes and stuff.
No, there's no shoes being thrown at comedy shows.
Yes, there are.
No, not in modern society. That you're watching like old Eddie Murphy movies set in 1930s. Like, no, there's not. No one's throwing fruit at bad comics in modern society. Did you just watch Gangs of New York or something?
Okay, or concerts.
I don't think people. Okay, I don't think in modern society people are throwing things on stage.
I don't know where you think you are right now. They are throwing stuff 100%. They are throwing stuff in the crowd.
Okay.
Not in the crowd, but on stage.
Okay, I'm going to need to see some evidence.
I mean, the baby got an Adidas shoe thrown at him.
And that's
the baby.
No, but that's out of bounds. That person's got to be thrown out.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that's not allowed, and I don't think it happens. Somebody says, weren't we talking about Luka? Listen, I was trying to filibuster tonight. I've talked about the fact the guy picked to win league MVP and go to the finals, might miss the play-in entirely. It's not great for my guy, Luka. We did a 40-minute A block. Let's take a quick break and come back. Welcome back in episode 138. What's Right with Nick Wright? Don't forget your listener questions for me or for Damonza. Put them in the chat right now on YouTube, and we will get to them in the next segment. I'm going to try to do a quicker segment here since we did a 40-minute A block. When this show was originally created, the entire show was supposed to be 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 16-minute A block, 16-minute B block, and an 8-minute final segment.
We've wandered off in a good way.
We've wandered off. Remember, there used to be a buzzer we used to do? Yeah. We used to have little sound drops of sisters saying, hurry up, daddy.
Scrap those.
Yeah, we scrapped them. All right, what are we doing? Conspiracy Corner?
All right, man. Yes, Conspiracy Corner with NBA Techs.
Yeah.
All right, man. So you know.
Oh, look at the picture.
Jeez, what the hell are you doing to me, man?
I like that picture. That's good.
You know how much I hate refs making everything about themselves?
Yeah.
We're at the point to where stars are closing in or passing on the 16th tech threshold.
All right, let me just explain it to the audience. In the regular season, if you get 16 technical fouls, you get suspended for a game. After that, every other tech gets you suspended. So you get a one-game suspension for your 16th, 18th, 20th, etc. That's how it works.
Gotcha.
So Dylan Brooks has been suspended. Draymond has been suspended and picked up another one. There's somebody else, I forget who, but keep going. There's some.
I'm thinking, but there's some suspicious stuff going on with who's getting called for what. Mm-hmm. It's time for Damonza's Conspiracy Corner. Do you think the league is doing too much to prevent big names from being teed up?
Oh, Luka's the other one. Luka got a tech and then had it rescinded because he was going to be suspended.
Oh.
The next day, the leagues rescinded his technical.
That's why we're doing.
So here's what I think. I think Draymond is the perfect example of guys understanding they get away with basically everything once they get their first technical foul because refs don't want to throw them out. So in that game against the Pelicans, Draymond got a technical and a flagrant on the same play.
Talking about when he got subbed at when Kerr subbed him
out?
No.
No. He got a technical and a flagrant on the same play. Tail end of the first half. He then, in the second half, picked up an immediate fourth foul. And the rest of the game just played like a lunatic. And was incredibly effective and was daring the refs to call him for a fifth foul. And daring the refs. And we saw in the Dallas game, he had 5 fouls. And he just took license to essentially foul on every play, saying you won't foul me out. In the Pelicans game, he kicked Herb Jones in the head when he already had a technical. He would have always gotten a technical for that previously, but because the refs didn't want to throw him out. So it's a weird spot where Draymond and Luka does this to a degree as well. They act so incredulous and angry the whole game that they raise the standard of what it takes for attack. And once they get there first, they are daring the refs to give them a second and kick them out. And if the refs let you get away with it, they let you get away with it. And so I do think the NBA doesn't want these guys suspended, which is also why I don't know that you have to have the 16 tech threat.
Exactly. I was just about to say, what's the point in putting that rule there if it's never going to be used?
Well,
like somebody has to be made an example. I feel.
Okay, so the reason
Not
the rule
Luka,
exists is because Rasheed Wallace,
I
you vaguely remember him. He got 41 techs in a season. Now, the refs hated him, and he did some of it to himself.
Also, probably a different time.
That was 20 years ago.
That's just, yeah.
But he got, so that's like,
40
that is like the unbreakable NBA record, because you would have been suspended for 20 games, like over the course of it. It would never happen again, but he got 41 techs in a season. All right, next, what are we doing here?
Hold on.
Right, a game, right or wrong?
Yeah, no. Sorry, we're playing right or wrong today. So we got Rodgers versus Green Bay. It's getting pretty ugly with them going back and forth, blaming each other. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the Packers are just saying the truth, and Rodgers is misleading people. Right or wrong, you can still trust Aaron Rodgers.
Wrong.
Yeah.
He's lost all credibility.
Yeah.
He keeps saying all he wants is direct communication, and then Gutekunst is like, dude won't answer our calls or texts. I mean, I just don't find him to be a credible narrator of anything. Of anything.
I think there's some long-lasting effects of the ayahuasca, and he's got like a little bit of a misconception on how society works.
Maybe. And also, by the way, the ayahuasca thing, I'm going to sound judgmental here. It seemed less impressive to me and like evolved once I heard he did it with Jake Paul. Jake Paul was with him, according to Jake Paul, doing the ayahuasca. Like, come on, man. And it just,
Can't be too much of an awakening around Jake
that's
Paul.
my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. But all I care about is direct communication. All I care about is direct communication. I won't answer my calls or texts. I'm not a fan of it. Just flatly not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Next.
At the league meeting, Kyle Shanahan said that once healthy, Brock Purdy is 49ers quarterback. I feel like I called this earlier.
You did.
I feel like I did. I don't know.
You did.
But however, he hasn't given up on Trey Lance just yet. The old adage is if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. Right or wrong, the 49ers have a quarterback problem.
I mean, I think it's right, and
What do you think you could get for Trey Lance?
not much now. Not if you're publicly saying Brock Purdy has beat him out.
Or build up the stock for Brock Purdy, offer to trade him.
I
The 49ers don't even need pieces.
I don't think the league wants Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
The league had a chance to get him, and everyone passed on him with every single one of their draft picks. And in my opinion, he didn't really light the world on fire with San Francisco. I know he played well.
This team's too good.
I obviously have not seen Trey Lance much. No one has. But it is such an investment to not try to see what he can do and what the offense can look like with him if he's healthy, to me would be crazy.
Like
legitimately crazy.
Yeah.
So I think Brock Purdy they're in the same spot as with Jimmy Garoppolo. You're just getting replacement level quarterback play. And I'd be worried about surgery on your elbow and your throwing arm.
Yeah.
You didn't it's not like you had a rocket arm before that. I'd want to see what I have with Trey Lance. Next.
All right. It seems as if Dame time may be coming to an end in Portland. Shams reported he expects potential offseason trade talks. Right or wrong, Dame has played his last game as a Trailblazer. It's a little late, bud.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's a little late?
Should have been left Portland.
Well, yeah, listen, do you know what Dame's numbers are this year? Like, give me a guess on how many points you think he's averaging per game. He's played 58 games. How many points?
26.
32.
I was going to say 30. The original was 30. That's crazy.
He's averaging 32 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists.
My bad, Dame. It's not too late.
Well, no, but it is too late. Because he's averaging 32, 5, and 7. And here is the entire list of teams the Blazers have a better record than. The Rockets, the Spurs, the Pistons, the Hornets. That's the list. That's it. So,
are you saying, like, who needs him?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying, like, it'd be one thing if it's like, we just can't break through to a championship. You can't break through to the play-in.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's not Dame's fault. Listen, there is one team and one team only because here's the thing, the problem for Dame. What team could trade for him and still be a champion contender? You understand what I mean? Like, what team would not have to give up so much that they're still a champion contender? I said there's one team. So it's like, the Knicks, not a contender. Sorry. You trade R.J. Barrett. Maybe they'll do it. I mean, they'd be good. But Dame and Jalen Brunson, your backcourt, both are 6'1" or under. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a recipe. You look in the West, like, who could trade for him? The Pelicans, maybe. The Pelicans, but then you're relying on Zion being healthy. You have to trade Brandon Ingram.
Well, the Thunder.
The Thunder are an interesting one. They definitely could trade for him. I don't know if they'd be a contender immediately. But they're, Dame and Shea, that's interesting. There's 2 Eastern Conference teams that should be calling repeatedly.
The Nets?
No. The first one is Boston. Jaylen Brown has given a lot of...
He's gone.
It seems like he's gone. And that's the best the Blazers could do.
Mm-hmm.
Get Jaylen Brown and a couple draft picks. That would be perfect for Boston. Perfect for Boston, and you can win the title. Mm-hmm. You have enough defense that even the downgrade from Brown to Dame, you're fine.
Yeah.
And you can win the title. The perfect fit is Philly. Philly trades Tobias Harris, Maxey, and every pick they have available to them. Dame and Embiid would be perfect. Dame stretches the defense out so far. Mm-hmm. Harden, if he stays, can run point. Even if Harden leaves, I still think they would be deadly.
That would be a fun team.
That would be a fun team, man. Oh, on 2K? But Boston is, to me, a really intriguing one.
Yeah.
And so I understand Dame has said, like, I'm not trying to ring chase. I'm trying to build it, all these things. I get all that, and he can do whatever he wants. But if your team can't even make the play-in and you're having a career season, and it's not like they have these – Shaedon Sharpe's fine. They haven't been able to build a quality defense the whole time he's been there. They made one conference finals a few years ago, and that's it. All right, next.
All right, if you needed one guy at his apex for one game or one series, who would it be? Yesterday on The Herd, you said you consider Shaq. Right or wrong, Shaq will be the number 1 pick.
So this is a take I've had for a while, and this is a fun game to play, which is and I think the answer is right, who is helped and who is hurt the most in all-time rankings by this specific question. So if we are ranking guys like on my 50 players list, right? So I'll give you a guy who did not make the list, was not even really that strongly considered for the list, but would probably be a top 25 pick for this question. I get him at his absolute apex, Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady at his absolute apex was neck and neck with Kobe for the best perimeter player for a couple years. But he didn't stay there, dealt with injuries, didn't have playoff success, he plummets. Who's hurt the most by this? Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, I had number 5 on my list. But there are 15 guys that I would take above him if you're telling me I get their absolute apex. So why would Shaq be my answer? That Shaq is my guy at his absolute apex over LeBron, over Jordan, over everyone else. Wilds, when I was talking to him about this, he mentioned Steph. Here's the thing. Any perimeter player, if your entire plan is to take them out of the game, you can to a degree. If you're willing to play 4-on-3, you can just double them the length of the court, and they're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, you probably lose because you're playing 4-on-3 against NBA players, but Wilds was like, so you're telling me I get on fire Steph? Why would I not take that? And the answer is because I can just prevent him from getting the ball. LeBron has shown throughout his career, if you double him, he is going to find the open man. Mm-hmm. Shaq, at his apex, was doubled every play. And this is what I want to remind people of. Shaquille O'Neal's apex was those 3 straight finals with the Lakers. The first finals against the Pacers, he averaged 38, 17, and 3 with 3 blocks a game. His next finals against the Sixers, who had the Defensive Player of the Year, Dikembe Mutombo, playing center, he averaged 33, 16, and 5.
Slowed him down a bit.
With 4 blocks per game. The next finals against the Nets, he averaged 36, 13, and 4 with 3 blocks per game. So Shaquille O'Neal, over the course of 3 finals, this is what he did. He gave you 44 minutes per night. He averaged 36 points per game. He averaged 15 rebounds per game, 4 assists, and 3 blocks over 3 consecutive finals. He's my number 1 pick. My picks would be Shaq 1, Bron 2, Jordan 3 for peak of their power NBA history for 1 game or 1 series. Now that doesn't mean, is that your mom or is that someone else?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. That does not mean that they are that is the all-time rankings. Who else? Trying to think modern, of current players, guys who are really helped by this is a guy like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
An A triple plus Donovan Mitchell game, he ranks way higher than his actual ranking. A guy who's hurt by this is Jokic. You know what I mean? Because his highs aren't as high, but he's so consistent.
Right.
So I think Tatum is hurt a bit by this. Tatum's probably a top 5 player, but I don't think there's 5. I think there's more than 5 guys.
That is apex?
Well, I take Giannis.
That's him versus the Bucks last year, huh?
Yeah. I think so. Maybe he stays about where he is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's about right. Maybe he stays about where he is. I'm trying to think of who is a guy who is hurt by this as far as his. You know what? In this right now, we'll see if it changes in the playoffs. LeBron's probably hurt by this a bit because LeBron doesn't have those monster games so much anymore. But it's a fun conversation to me, and it's a different conversation than the greatest players ever. All right, next.
All right, Bronny James took himself to a whole new level in the McDonald's All-American game. Yet he's still not committed to any school for next year. Right or wrong, Bronny will be a Trojan.
I don't know. And I don't have an answer on this. I know he crushed. I mean, I got to give this kid credit, man. I mean, he's turned himself into a legit top 10 prospect. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. He's evened out his shot. He's got these great instincts. I saw somebody say he has his dad's athleticism, and somebody correctly said on Twitter, no one currently alive has LeBron's athleticism, including LeBron anymore. Which is accurate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know where he's going to go. I do think it'll add some breadcrumbs to where LeBron's going to go.
Right.
I do think that. All right, we got one more. As you guys all know, Damonza was off last week looking for a place in Los Angeles. Right or wrong, Damonza has already gone Hollywood, and this is a YouTube exclusive where we're going to show you guys something that I don't know if you guys are ready for. Has Damonza already gone Hollywood? And we had to crop that picture because we weren't sure if you were pulling the LeBron and just naked under a towel. But you're in a parking lot showing off your body on Instagram.
Hey.
Oh, there it is. There's LeBron and Damonza in the steam room. I do got to say, you're in great shape, buddy. I'm happy for you. You look great. I was surprised to see that on IG. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I don't really post on there because I do the podcast, so I haven't really found my middle ground as far as whenever I post something, I feel like people look at it like
you're a public figure.
What? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Is that what you were gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say like I feel like when you see me on this podcast, you don't really expect me to post something like that. It's like
right. Yes, it's the private life, public life.
Exactly, but that was me before. Like, I mean, a long time ago. I guess I kind of like, but it's yeah.
What do you mean that was taken this week?
Yeah, but I'm saying that.
Oh, that's how you posted
exactly
prior to doing the
exactly.
pod. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, are you like you're posting old pictures on Instagram? Like, no. Look at how good I used to look. Okay, no, that's fair. All right, I hear we have a surprise package to open, and we answer your listener questions. That's next. What's right? All right, welcome back in episode 138, one of our longest episodes ever. It's great to have Damonza back. I think this might be your best performance. You've done a great job. Before we get to the listener questions, you guys have a surprise for me.
All right, so it's obviously been a while since football season ended. Mm-hmm. But all the success from the Chiefs and the Jaguars gave you a really big head.
Okay.
So we've got the perfect thing for that.
My hat? Finally? Oh, custom?
Hold on.
I didn't even know. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, I see what I was supposed to do.
Oh, that's how they work. Oh, so we've got the big hats. All right, while Damonza gets these put together and then I'll put them on, I'm going to read some listener questions because this is going to take a minute. Try not to break them. Don't break them. -4-2 said, which teams would be ideal in signing Zeke from both perspectives? That's an interesting one. His market is not going to be that strong. You know what? I shouldn't have read that question because I hadn't really thought about it that much. Detroit, maybe, because Jamal Williams is gone. But I haven't really, you know what? I'm just going to be totally honest. I haven't been studying teams' running back depth charts post-free agency, so I don't have an answer to that. Sorry, -4-2. Ronnie Lucente said, Nick, what do you think about Bronny, and what do you think is the best route for him and LeBron to play together, both league-wise and father-wise? Well, here is the other interesting thing about Bronny. Once upon a time, I felt LeBron was saying, I'm going to go to wherever Bronny gets drafted by as a way to ensure Bronny gets drafted. But if Bronny keeps this upward trajectory, he might be a lottery pick, in which case a bad team would be drafting him, in which case I don't know if LeBron wants to do that. So that's it's kind of a fascinating thing. I don't know. I know he wants to play with him. I don't know what the exact plan is, to be totally honest. Next, Nick, though you don't believe in the Nuggets, you have them with a small slice of championship pie. What does Denver path to a championship looks like? Denver's path to a championship looks like this. They're obviously the 1 seed. They get Minnesota in round 1 and beat them. They then, in round 2, get the Suns or the Clippers, both of which are dealing with injuries, and they beat them. And in round 3, they get Sacramento, and Sabonis can't deal with Jokic. That's their path. Now I'm putting on the What's Right hat. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is great. And I'm wearing the Prince That Was Promised hat at work. These big hats are sweet, man.
Oh, yeah. See, I gave you that one because it didn't match my fit. So.
Oh, that's fine. You can wear the Prince That Was Promised. You're a Trevor Lawrence guy nowadays. Go ahead.
Average player asks, do you think the Nuggets should trade Michael Porter Jr. and Murray for Dame?
Well, that trade wouldn't work, and I don't think I think the Blazers are going to want draft picks. I think the Blazers can do better than Michael Porter Jr. Henry Miller said, Never participated in book club before. A little history of the world, but I really enjoyed reading it week to week with you guys. Do you have any other book recommendations? We'll pick that up again probably post NBA. What, you have a book rec?
I have a book for you guys.
Okay. What's that?
Title's a little long.
Okay, while you're looking it up, I'll read this. Do you play the FUT Champions on FIFA 23? I did not. I have not played it, so I can't tell you what the max wins I got in 20 wins. What's the book? Is this a book you've read, Damonza?
No.
Then
Why the Animal Kingdom is Full of Con Artists. I don't think that's what the book is called, but
let me see.
It might actually. It's in the New Yorker. I talked about it with Nana a lot in Aruba. It was pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Pretty funny, very interesting. Like some birds have like warning calls. Like it's basically about how the animals they lie and they cheat and
Are
they
you
steal,
sure?
just like humans.
Is this a book or is this?
I think it's like you go down to a book. Like there's a book on there, or maybe it's just a. But Nana said that it was a book that she wanted.
Oh, okay. Abbreviated version of Bates' story in his new book, The Liars of Nature and the Nature of Liars.
Yes, that's the book. You definitely should get it. There's a little anecdote about this bird that has like a warning call, and where other birds are eating, it sends out the warning call so they think that there's danger amongst them, and then he goes and gets the food.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I will.
It's like a bunch of animals that have like created these
I
ways
love
to
it.
deceive other animals that works in their favor.
I'm
obviously.
in. I'm texting myself the link to it.
Okay,
Okay, great. You're getting a phone call from Kansas. We have to go. This was a great show. Yeah, there it is. Liars of Nature and the Nature of Liars. See you guys on Tuesday. What's right?
We should wear these hats all.
Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.